Welcome back to the artist always known as Alejandro. We are going to tackle a revamped version of this drawing I did of Krysyla. She's one of the members of Squadron 6, one of my favorite teams I created. And I do this early on. I think she's a really cool alien superhero who controls water. But you can see there is a few issues with body placement. Yep. Hands, arms for shortening. It's a very strange angle and stuff. Nice idea, but the execution, as I've been doing more videos and drawing and using the program, have made me realize this could use a revamping. So let's take a deep dive and hop to it right now. I'm going to start with pulling back the curtain and revealing how it started. I originally did a pen sketch, just drawing her for fun. And actually, that was really good. But there's also 3D models. They are part of Clip Studio Paint. So it gave me a general idea of what I was trying to shoot for with this. And it's a pretty good 3D model. I mean, the hand looks really strange. I just think the execution when I drew it, just something didn't pop. So now when you're in the 3D model, you can manipulate body parts. If you select a certain thing, see, you can move the whole arm. You can twist it in different directions. You just, the hand, bring it around. You go to certain layers, you can move them up, down. It's really a cool tool. You don't want to hyperextend the body. But it is a really interesting tool to play with. In the final result of this sketch video of my revamping, I don't use it at all. But I'm just giving you an idea. Look at that. You could twist the body in so many crazy positions. It's fun to play with. I mean, maybe one day I'll get a full use of this. I wanted to change the hand position. I didn't like the way it was in the original drawing. This kind of like weird, like she's pushing a shopping cart. Now she's, I don't know what she's doing. But you can move each individual finger in each little, look at that. You can move the joints in the finger separately too. I'm just showing it to you, so it's something you've never seen before in my videos. And I wanted to make it a pretty good point that it is something you can use for your creations on Clip Studio Paint. It's fun, see? It's pretty remarkable. You can move each little joint in the finger. And all these little arrows and directionals and things pop up when you select that part of the body. But ultimately, I don't use this, but it kind of helped me a little bit in the final result in a way. Because, I mean, I look at this and it doesn't look bad. But somehow I just digitally didn't come out with it right. And this is supposed to be a woman's body. Look at that. Woo! Change that angle. That's pretty cool too if you want an overhead shot, a worm's eye view. I really like this, but oh yeah. Whoa! Welcome to Cirque du Soleil, baby. Anyway, just streaming through this. Krysyla was actually originally a guy. Called him Waterspout. My team Squadron 6 actually had 6 members, but they were all dudes. And I came across a drawing of the whole team. I'm like, what? I see something here. There's a variety of powers and characters. Then I said to myself, okay, well, we have enough dudes on the team. We need some females. Well, this is the position I thought I was going to use. So here's comparing that original sketch position all by itself from Clip Studio Paint. Not bad, but obviously you have to revamp. But this one's pretty close to my original concept. but I digress. So I took some of her little necklace part and her belt and trim, and I'm going to just reuse it because that's a lot to redraw. So I can just pull it into there. I stuck with the G pen in this first outset because I think that's what I thought I should stick with. I haven't been using the G pen lately, but I did it. I'm just showing this to you to show you how pretty easy it is to follow your 3D model. But results may vary. That gives you a good eye line and stuff like that in the center of the face. So it's pretty good in that respect to give you an idea. But I was saying, going back to creating Squadron 6, a few years ago, I just came across the drawing and then, okay, some members have got to go, some will stay, and this character who controls water could be cool, but a dude, now let's make her a female. And I'm saying to myself, well, you know, all the members of this team are kind of just normal looking people. Like, well, let's make her an alien. Why not? Yeah, there's the original. So, that idea set forth. Now, at the very first outset, I was calling her Water Stream. I didn't like Water Spout. But Water Spout sounds a little better than Water Stream if you think about it. Like, oh, here comes Water Stream. Watch out. No. The good thing with the models is you know it's going to be pretty anatomically correct. But whether or not that translates into a really good drawing, you're about to see. And there's another member of the team who is called Phaser. I think I'm still keeping the name, but I'm not sure. Phaser was a dude whose hands can turn into guns, cannons, you know, that sort of thing. And I said, let's make he a she. And I kept kind of the same. I kept the mask and goggles and the fin on her head the same, but then I made her a woman. I said, that's a pretty cool idea. Let's stick with that. And then something came over me, and I just started writing this whole origin story of how Squadron 6 came to be. Because to me, back in the day, they were just kind of a minor team. My main team was the Hero Patrol. Almost like an Avengers in a way. Justice League, my main characters. But then Squadron 6 turned into something else. Something else I was not expecting. Where I had 6 individuals. There she is, and there she is now. Seemed like it was looking good. Of course, I think I do her hair on a separate layer. But in Squadron 6, I always start with that part, actually. I like to do those front 2 pieces of her hair, and everything just builds outward from there. Because I wanted to give her almost like seaweed kind of hair, something that you would see, like if this floats in the water, it's going to look pretty rad. But in Squadron 6, there's like this archaeologist dude who finds this thing in the sea covered in barnacles and stone. It's this magic orb, and once he uncovers it, he gets magical powers, and he has to find 5 other souls that are noble people. They may be victimized, they may be troubled, they really have noble hearts, they may be down on their luck. And he seeks out 5 of them to build a team. Krysyla is the final piece. Now, on my planet, which I've tentatively called Etheria, I'm not calling it Earth, I'm calling it Etheria. I figured, what if aliens landed on Earth generations ago, and they've been with us for several generations? Of course, there's going to be hybrids and whatnot, but there is a separate planet called Krysyla, where Krysyla's people come from. And they are pretty humanoid, except they just don't have pupils and irises. They have different skin colors, too. Her people have gray skin. So this was that one. I'm like, Not really crazy about that. Let's go back to the original sketch. I think there was enough going on here that I like. That last one was like, ugh. And if you're following along, you're like, oh man, I just drew all that. I know this one is more like a behind the scenes. I really, I'm so sorry, but I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I liked the position originally. It was a cute sketch, and I think my original concept came out a little better. But this is not the end result if you see the thumbnail for this video. Anywho, so Krysyla is from the planet Krysyla. You can speak English. Now, Krysyla and Etheria share this portal, so you can travel between planets. It's like a wormhole in space, and you could travel between planets, and she was coming to Etheria with her boyfriend and her parents, and something happened to her ship, and she got taken to this underground complex where some mad scientists still are not too thrilled about having aliens intermingling with us, so they experiment on them. Yep. Even though many of aliens have been with us for several generations, there's those who do not like them and want to experiment on them and do terrible things. When the rest of the guys find her, she is frail, weak, dehydrated, almost a skeleton. And then the wizard of the group, Magazar, as he does with the other ones, touches their hand and grants her these powers, and she becomes Krysyla. Originally, like I said, water stream, like that's not working. Then I said, let's call her Aquaria, but I think that's been used a lot. And then I'm gonna say it right here. I had a Conan the Barbarian book and record, and actually this one record didn't have a comic book to go with it. It was 4 Conan stories. And one of the characters was named Krysyla. I don't know how they spelled it, but I decided, let me use that. Krysyla was how I spelled it. Like, that fits her. Her real name is Naftiri, but Krysyla in Krysyla was a water goddess. So that's how she got her name. And she helps them get out of the... She takes a little revenge on the facility that housed her people and experiment on them in such cruel ways. Revenge is sweet. Then she came to her senses and they got out of there, and she became a valuable member of the team. And I just came up with this concept pretty... It took a few tries, but I just kind of saw this alien without the pupils and irises. Maybe I was slightly influenced by Starfire from Teen Titans. I'm not sure. But I liked the idea, and on her planet she was a dancer. And then the hair came after that, and just this costume that is a little revealing, yeah, showing off some midriff, but then I thought, what's practical for someone who's going to be swimming underwater and controlling water? That's how I came up with this idea. I know the eyes are, I was just, never give me fits. With a seaweedy type hair, as you can see, I love starting with those first 2 strands of hair in the center of her forehead, and then everything just flows out of it, ha ha ha, literally. And she can control water from her body. She can shoot it out. She can evade, remove water from anywhere nearby if it's landing on her. If like it's raining on her, she could divert it. She can control ocean water or any water source near her. Like if there's pipes, she can make the water pop out of there. Now, whoa. What is going on here, Alejandro? You just went blank. You're drawing Krysyla. Now, why do you have a blank canvas? Aha! Funny you should ask. I did not like that pose at all. I've kind of been there and done that with a lot of the drawings recently. So I went in a completely different route and decided to have Krysyla in a completely different position, which is this. I decided I want her in this position. She's still kind of holding the same body position she was in our previous iterations of the sketch. However, I wasn't digging it, man. I was not digging it. So I went with this because I'm like, she's getting her water powers ready. They're building up. And that's what this is. I want her to show her power building up. And so I rearranged her, but I kept her little costume necklace piece and her belt piece and side trimming on her costume. Moved them around, and these gauntlets, I just redrew these, but these I just borrowed from the last drawing, as well as this, and just remastered them. There was some circles I had to add in to just fit this and shrink it down and get it right to this new look of Krysyla, which also means I redid her hair. Give it a little more of the wave. And of course, while I'm at it, I did do all of this in the good old round mixing brush. There it is, round mixing brush. Mostly set to a 5, and for the more deeper details like the eyes and the lips and stuff like that, it was set to 4 or 3. Okay, you still with me? Good. And so I like this position better. I like it more. Took a long time, but we got there. And so I added her detail. Whoop, wrong one. Get rid of that. Detail. There's the detail layer. Just subtle muscles and parts of her hand and her shoulders and here. So I still took the colors from the previous drawing, in case you forgot. There is the original. Totally misproportioned, but we get the same idea. So I just kind of took pieces and moved them over. With the exception, I got rid of this color scheme here. I was not crazy about that. And her hair, as exotic as it is, I just didn't dig it. So here's what happened. Well, let's start with her lovely gray skin. A little shade I added there. Next layer would be her neck, more of her hands. Because as you can tell, you definitely don't want hands on the same layer if you're going to add extra shade. Because remember, if you do it on the same layer, you'll bleed into the other one. So we don't need that. Did her lips on this layer. Then we moved on to the first row of gauntlets. I made these each a row because if I'm going to shade here, I don't want it blending in. Next layer. The trim around the belt and along the side and part of her necklace piece. And another row of the gauntlet. Shaded in. Next up, we added some of the gray to her side trim here. Colored her little round pieces in the jewelry here. And just a little more shade, just a hint more. I think her eyes were on one of these layers. And her teeth. Moving right along. See, I made a little bit of a darker blue. I was trying to keep in the theme with what her costume is doing. So I wanted just that. I didn't want the green. Now we're getting to the big stuff. The blue in the costume I kept the same. Obviously I added some stuff here. Went a little lighter on these, as you'll see why. Like you'll see there's lighter blues and things here. And finally the rest of her lovely gray skin on her arms and midriff. And I also have the bottom layer of her hair. I did it keeping a little bit in a light blue scheme, but just enough. And her top of her hair is a separate layer as well. which I lightened and darkened depending where my light's coming from. Pretty snazzy, right? She looks good. Now I did take some stuff from the other drawing, but I embellished it. Well, I can show you what I did. So this layer, I'm going to go to it. I'm going to use the blend tool, and you remember that liquefy? Look what it does to bubbles and stuff. Look how cool is that? So that's what I did, because she's conjuring her water powers. Now there's a bubble brush that I had over here. It's who the brushes, if you go, I had it in my Indian ink, and it does this bubble effect. But it looks kind of cheesy. So this liquefy kind of bumps it up. And then in my original drawing, you saw I had that background. I kept it, and I maybe brought it, take it out a little bit. See, it's like all the way up here on her. And that makes sense, you know, she's conjuring and shooting this way, but here, it kind of needs to rest behind her. So I softened it, even did some liquefying. But I'm saying this white background is just not doing it for me, so I added a little yellow, but a little gray behind it. So there's kind of like this bit of sunlight coming in, just creeping in. And so you just have that hint. See, I had a little brightness here, making little yellows from whatever this is coming about. And then darkened it here. And hey, man, I think we have a winner. There she is. Krysyla, the revamped version of one of my favorite characters. Yeah, look at that. Now that looks stellar. It is kind of fun to revamp some of these drawings. Just give them a little bit more oomph and pizzazz and newly acquired particular skills. Just bump it up a bit. I'm really pleased with the result. I hope you are too. Hey, what do you got? Did you give Krysyla a try? I'd love to see what you guys did. And you know what, as I've said before, you kind of just got to do your own style. And you know, I've taken so many techniques, breaking down the body, eye placement and all that, and some things work, some don't. But you got to experiment as an artist. See what works for you. Sometimes going back and forth when you're drawing an arm is the way to do it. Get your proportions. Sometimes you need to measure it out and do boxes and circles and angles and things like that, breaking the body down. And maybe so many little nuances and things that'll get you to where you want. So just keep trying and see what works for you. And in the digital realm, it's a whole nother beast, but as you can see, we've got a good result with Krysyla, the Water Warrior from Squadron 6. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Always love to bring you my creations. This one was fun to do. And I'll see you in the next video. Like and subscribe. Be mucho appreciated. Mis amigos. Until next time, this is the artist always known as Alejandro saying, keep creating.